Om. 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 Sahana bhavatu. Sahano bhunaktu. Saha viryam karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu. Ma vidvishavahai. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Sairam everyone. So we have been looking at the Narada Bhakti Sutras, the three sutras which we looked at last week are definitions of bhakti from various sages, three different sages. So we will continue where we left off. I think we looked at Vyasa, Garuga, and Chandilya. So today we are going to look at what another Rishi, Narada Maharshi himself is including, I guess. We will take a look at that side. Naradastu tadarpita kila charata tad vismarane parama vyakulatethi. Naradastu tadarpita kila charata tad vismarane parama vyakulatethi. Naradastu tadarpita kila charata tad vismarane parama vyakulatethi. In this sutra, in terms of pronunciation, I would say, Naradastu is simple, no aspirated consonants. Tadarpita is also simple. This letter K is a second letter in the Ka Varga or Ka class of consonants, so it has to be aspirated. Tadarpita Kila Charata. Tadvismarane Parama Vyakulatethi. All of them are simple consonants, so it should be simple with a little bit of practice. Let's look at the word split before we look at the meanings. The first word is Naradastu, is comprised of two words, Naradaha and Tu. The visarga at the end of Naradaha turns into Is because of Sandhi, and so that's how we get Naradastu. The next word is made of actually two compound words, two samasas. The first one is Tat Arpita. So there are four, actually, even though there are two compound words, the first compound word is comprised of two words, Tat and Arpita. Tadarpita. Okay. You can even say it's actually two distinct words. Even then the meaning would be fine. But technically it can be either. So I have just left it as compound word. The it becomes id. the third letter in the tha varga because of sandhi, and ud plus a becomes a da. So that's how we get tadarpita. Okay. Tat arpita becomes tadarpita. The arpita and the next word is akhila. Akhila. Okay. The tha plus a becomes ta. Ta plus another a becomes ta, a longer vowel. So arpita akhila. Okay. Arpita akhila. Then the next one is also a compound word. Akhila and acharata. There the la and a becomes la. So akhilacharata, sorry. Akhila and acharata becomes akhilacharata. Okay. So that's also similar. It becomes a longer vowel. Then we take the next word, which is tad vismarane, is made up of two words, tat and vismarane. It here also becomes ud, which is the third letter in the tha varga. So that's how tat vismarane becomes tad vismarane. The next one is also a compound word. Actually, there are one compound word and another single word, which is paramavyakulata is one word, and iti is a second word. Paramavyakulata, which is a compound word or samasa, is made up of parama vyakulata. We will now look at the meaning of the word. The first word is Narada. So typically, the meaning which we give is sage Narada, because we have looked at three other sages giving definitions. So here Narada means Narada Maharshi himself. So in his Bhakti Sutras, his name is also mentioned as someone who is defining. So that's one way to look at it, sage Narada. But it also has a slightly different, it's much more meaning. I think we have looked at it earlier when we looked at the title Narada Bhakti Sutra. Swami has given the meaning. Nara means water. The means one who gives. The one who gives water. What is this water? The water of devotion. The tears of devotion. So Narada is capable of granting the boon of devotion to anyone. So it can be Narada Maharshi, it can be any activity which can grant devotion, also Narada. Okay, so that way also we can take the meaning. Naram, the water in which devotion is embedded. That's the life-giving water. Life-giving water for every devotee. So that is granted by Narada, sage Narada, and any activity which grants that devotion is also Narada. Okay, so we can take it as both. The next word is tu. It has multiple meanings, but I like the meaning indeed, because sometimes we can say but and things like that. There are many meanings which tu can be depending on the context. But I have used the word indeed here. So let's take the next word, which is tat arpita. Tat arpita, which is tat then arpita. You can see there are multiple ways you can, in a samasa, we can have multiple meanings. Tat means that. Arpita means offering. Okay. So offering, that offering. Okay, that's if you just simply translate in English, it's that offering. So it can mean multiple. Offering us something, offering that, offering to that. There are threefold meanings which we can give. That means, so if you take the first one, a particular offering we are offering, then we are offering to offering that to something. Okay. And offering to that. So, for example, in the prayer which we chant before uh, taking food, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmaknam, Brahmana Hutam. Okay. It is something like that. The offering is Brahma. The act of offering is also Brahma. The one who offers is also Brahma. The one who to whom it is offered is also Brahma. All those meanings are possible in Tattarpita. So that means devotion is having that understanding that that's Brahman is offering Brahman to Brahman. Okay. That kind of meaning you can take just with that Tat Arpita. It depends on each person how they feel at that time to understand and relate to the Lord and relate to devotion itself. So devotion is that something where one is aware that it's God who offers God to God, and offering it, an act of offering itself is God. That kind of understanding is what Narada is referring to. The next one is Akhila Acharata. So again, Akhila means the entire. Khila means something which is part or tone or pieces. Akhila means the whole. Acharata. Acharata means whatever our activities are, whatever we follow. So I've used the word sadhana. Okay. Acharata means doing that which has been prescribed. Okay. To demonstrate it in one's life. Okay. So there are many meanings which we can get. So the entire sadhana has to be offered. That is one meaning. Any sadhana we do, that is also offered to the Lord. Or you can say offering that to that should be the entire sadhana. So you can see multiple ways. So devotion is all that. Okay. So you can say, Narada is saying one should offer all one's activities to the Lord. Okay. So otherwise we can say one's entire sadhana should be offering the Lord to the Lord. So it can be offering all activities, whether it's sadhana or not, also to the Lord. That kind of feeling is also indicated by these words. Okay. So through this process, I think in Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Yoga, Krishna lives many things, how we can become a devotee. He says, think that you are doing my actions. Offer all the fruits of your actions to me. Okay, so there are many ways we can relate to the Lord. All that is devotion. So we will go to the next word. Again, tat, the word comes. Tat vismarane. Again, that. Tat is that. Brahman is that. Also, this offering of everything to the Lord, that also can be said. You can say that refers to that also. That's the sadhana of offering everything to the Lord. That also can be said to be that. Okay. Or we can say that is the Lord. Vismarane means forget. Smarana means to remember. Vismarana means beyond memory. It can say non-remembrance, forgetting, or becoming oblivious. Okay. Vismarana. What do we become oblivious to? What we don't remember? One is not remembering the Lord, or not remembering to offer all of our actions to the Lord, forgetting our sadhana. Okay, we can say everything. It recovers everything. The word used tat is in a phenomenal way. Sage Narada has used. So we can pull out all sorts of meanings from that. based on what appeals to us and what takes us forward to higher state. Okay. Tat Vismarane, that is in the non, this is seventh vibhakti. Vismarane means in. Okay. That's why Vismarana is the simple noun. Vismarane is the seventh vibhakti or seventh noun form, which means in, at, on, like that, that kind of meaning it gives. All those prepositions can be used. So Vismarane is in non-remembrance. In non-remembrance of that, okay, that object, whichever it is, the Lord or the act, sadhana itself. Parama Vyakulata. Parama means supreme, the highest. Vyakulata. Vyakula means anguish, being troubled, feeling sad. All that's Vyakula. So, in forgetting the Lord, or in forgetting to do the sadhana, or in forgetting to offer anything to the Lord, feeling anguish, great anguish. Okay, that is devotion. So that's the way Sri Narada is, Sage Narada is giving us a meaning of devotion. That is, we should offer everything to the Lord. That should be our entire sadhana. Or we should offer all that we do, all of our sadhanas to the Lord only. And forgetting to do that, or forgetting to the Lord, forgetting the Lord, should result in great anguish. That state is called devotion, according to Narada. You can say that state also gives one great devotion. Having that type of tendency will also grant us devotion. That leads to devotion. The best example is the gopis of the Vrindavan. Then we will look at that a little later. So we will read the Swami's excerpts, which which will actually elaborate on this theme, I would say. Krishna urged Arjuna to free himself from attachments and illusions that were confounding him. Krishna said, Arjuna, you yourself must purify your heart and remove the veil of ignorance that is beclouding you. Take the path of righteous action, work for the welfare of the world, and dedicate your every act to me, who am your very self, residing in your heart. There's no royal road for human life other than through Karma Yoga, through the path of dedicated action. We will be able to enter into Bhakti Yoga. The path of devotion only after we have laid a firm foundation through good actions. And only after we have purified our feelings and developed our devotion will we be able to enter into the area of wisdom and proceed on the highest path of Jnana Yoga. Using our intellect to plan out an action whose fruits would benefit someone else, as is the case in the action of an old man who plants a tree whose fruits will be enjoyed by future generations, can be called Buddhi Yoga, communion through intellect. I will pause here. So you can say Arjuna is the greatest Parama Vyakulata. His anguish at the forefront was because he forgot the Lord. He forgot himself, that he is Atman. So that results in Vyakulata, supreme. But it's supreme because it became Vishada Yoga. That means he had the Lord himself in front of him to cry to. You see, he could, who else to cry in front of? So he was supremely blessed. That is Paramavyakula. Then the Lord is telling, okay, he's saying, work for the well, dedicate your every act to me. Tat arpita. What is that tat? Swami has explained also. Okay. Then he says, to me, who am your very self? That is in you also, residing in your heart. So you're offering divine to divine, because you are also divine. There's no royal road for human life other than through karma yoga. So, and Swami is talking, that's bhakti yoga itself. So I thought it was very nicely Swami explains us. We will continue. In Buddhi Yoga, we inquire into the consequences of our actions and thereby base our actions on the reasoning power of our intellect. Intellect goes far above the narrow, selfish considerations of the lower mind and senses. But even here, there's still a tinge of selfishness. When we are completely free from all selfishness, totally indifferent to the results, acting effectively with full concentration, but without any attachment or desire, and offering all our actions to God, then we are practicing Anasakti Yoga. This is far superior to Bhakti Yoga. Anasakti Yoga is not easily accessible to ordinary people. But that does not mean that we should give up trying to attain it. With wholehearted effort and God's grace, seemingly impossible things can be achieved. I will pause here. In this paragraph, Swami is telling us what is acharata. In the sutra, there's the word acharata. What should be our activity, our actions? What should be the sadhana? Swami is nicely telling we should apply Buddhi Yoga for the actions, when we perform actions, and how we should offer everything to the Lord. There should be no tinge of selfishness. So that is the real acharata, and that should be offered to the Lord. We'll continue with the quotation. If we persist in our efforts, then with practice, we will be able to reach this higher level of Anasakti Yoga in all our activities. To succeed in this, the inner vision must be developed. Constantly reflecting on the divinity that is everywhere is the best way to develop the inner vision that will establish us in Anasakti Yoga. Another small excerpt I have. Though there are many devotees, so why there are difficulties in this world? It is because devotion is not proper. The devotees are immersed in archana, worship, but what is required is arpitam, total surrender. Arpita is greater than archana. When arpitam takes place, you and God become one. The fulfillment of worship of the lotus feet lies in the unification of the individual with the divine. So I picked this one because it explains the word arpita. Tadarpita, that comes from the sutra. So Swami is explaining this, what is arpita. So here, offering one entire self. And that Swami is saying, which is total surrender, is the English translation, but it's complete offering of oneself. Archana means you take something and worship the Lord, which, offering flowers or just say. But Swami says, then that is not proper devotion, because it is not devotion, that's not proper. The proper devotion is to offer oneself entirely. And that's why Swami says, though there are many devotees, why are there difficulties in this world? Why are all these problems persisting in this world? So Swami's devotion is not proper. Okay, so I thought that's it's all reminder from Swami as to what type of devotion we should cultivate. Another excerpt, please. The synonym for the word tyaga, sacrifice, is bali. The term Bali has several meanings, such as offering, dedication, sacrifice, and a tax levy. What is meant by tax? Bali means that which has to be given as an offering in human life. But the ancients regarded Bali as offering a living object as a sacrifice. This is not the proper meaning of Bali. Bali is the recognition of the divinity in man. People pay a water tax to the authorities who make available water at their dwelling from a distant source. Likewise, people have to pay dues for the electricity supply which they receive. What is the tax you pay to the divine for implanting divinity in you? When you consider yourself to be remote from God because of your involvement in worldly affairs, you pay for small amounts of water supply and electrical energy. But what do you pay for the heavy downpour of rain which you get from the providence, from providence? God fills the tanks and rivers with water. He provides man with life-giving oxygen in the air he breathes. The sun illumines the whole world by his light. What is the tax we pay for all these services? The arpitam, offering we made to God, is the tax. That has been called Bali. One should not be frightened by the term Bali. It means only offering oneself to the divine. In making such an offering, Emperor Bali was supreme. He was the grandson of Prahlada. Emperor Bali was dedicating his entire life to God. He was a great devotee. Moreover, he excelled in acts of charity. He made his subjects rejoice. He never went back on his plighted word. He was full of such great virtues. Emperor Bali took good care of his people, promoting their welfare and endearing himself to them. Bali's father, Virochana, was also a godly ruler. Thus, from Prahlada to Bali, the whole line of rulers were filled with love of God. They were influenced by the divine power. Originally, Prahlada's father, Hiranyakashipu, was Lord Vishnu's gatekeeper. Whatever the differences in behavior and attitudes, all three, Prahlada, Virochana, and Bali, were equally inspired by devotion to God. In spite of the strong opposition from his preceptor Shukracharya to Bali for giving an offering of land to Vamana as promised by him, Bali was firm in surrendering to Vishnu all that he had. He told the preceptor, Guruji, what's the use of my possessing anything which is not of use to God? The seeker is God himself. God has really no desires. But to redeem us from the consequences of our past deeds, he creates situations which call for offerings. When the infinite divine appears in the role of the seeker of favors, what greater blessing can there be than making the offering to the divine? I do not seek any greater blessing than this. I am ready to offer my mind, my body, and my life itself to God. There's no greater fortune than this. This is the meaning of surrender. God does not ask for any offering of wealth or possession. God is said to be pleased if a sincere devotee offers a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or even water. What is the leaf? It is the body. The heart is the flower. The mind is the fruit. The water that is to be offered is that from the tears of joy shed by the devotee. This is what God expects from you. The Lord tells you, my dear man, the body does not belong to you. Who gave it to you? It is a precious gift from God. It is inert like a leaf. Eradi referred to the Gayatri mantra. Om Bhur Bhuvas Suvaha. In this mantra, the Bhu refers to the body, which is made up of material substances. It may be compared to a leaf, which is also a material object. Bhuvaha refers to that which activates the inert body. That prana, life force, operates as vibration. Suvaha, what is the basis for this life force? It is prajnana. The Upanishad declares prajnanam Brahma. The prajna operates through radiation. Suvaha refers to this power of radiation. Humanness is made up of these three constituents: radiation, vibration, and material inertness. The flower to be offered to God is a pure heart free from all taints and evil tendencies like lust, anger, and pride. The fruit to be offered is a mind free from all bad thoughts and feelings. It should be filled with the sweet juice of goodness. The water that should be offered to God is the water that flows from the eyes out of joy in experiencing God. Tears of two kinds: tears born of grief resulting from attachments, tears spontaneously arising from ananda, blissful experience of the divine. Make God your life breath, the sweetness of your existence. It was with such sacred feelings that Emperor Bali offered himself to the Lord, appearing as Vamana. People make all kinds of offerings to God, but the greatest of them all is to offer oneself. That is what Bali did. He declared, "O Lord, I am offering to you the heart which you gave me. What else can I offer you? Please accept my offering at your feet." Bali is such an example of supreme sacrifice. Thus, he pleased God. Okay, so it may be a long excerpt. Sairam Auntie, can I guess?
Sairam, I don't know. It says Hiranyakasipu was the gatekeeper of Lord Vishnu. So he was close to God then.
Yes, Auntie. So I don't know whether I think maybe because Swami has referred to it, so I'll mention. So there's the story of Jaya and Vijaya. They were the gatekeepers of the Lord in Vaikuntha. Once, when the four rishis, Sanaka, Sananda, and Sanat Kumara, when they visited, he stopped them. They stopped them. I said, Vishnu is taking rest, we can't go. So they were upset and they cursed both of them, Jay and Vijay. And so then they realized their mistake and then they sought pardon. Lord Vishnu also appeared and on their behalf he said, please give them some way out. So then the rishis said, you have two options. You were born in this world, you take 100 births as great devotees and then you can come back to the Lord. Or you can take 3 births where you become the worst kind of human beings and then you can come back to Lord. So they apparently chose the first one to be very bad people. So the Puranas say that Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha for the first birth of Jaya Vijaya. So that's what Swami is referring to. Even though when he was born as Hiranyakashipu, he hated Lord Narayana.
Yes.
He was a devotee who had initially gotten, I wouldn't say close, he got physically near the Lord, but he fell from grace because he did not become dear. So physical proximity is only nearness from a physical sense. But to be dear, one has to cultivate devotion and humility and all other good qualities. So that's the story which Swami is referring to. Even if you take,
just the body, the body was there, that was all.
yet, that he had to undergo that experience
Mhm.
of hating the Lord. But that's why even though he was angry with Vishnu, he always thought of Krishna,
Yeah.
even with anger. So Ravana and Kumbhakarna also considered the second time they were born. And then Shishupala and Dantavakra were also like that in Dwapara Yuga. So that's the story. So just because we become physically close to the Lord does not become we are dear to the Lord. So that requires a lot more effort, and I think that's a story which Swami is referring to.
Thank you, Varun.
Right. So we will go to the next sutra. Astyevam. 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 It's a very short sutra. There's no aspirated consonant, so it should be easy to recite. I will split the words. It's comprised of 3 words. Asti, evam, evam. Here the T, E plus A becomes ya. E and A always become ya. So the T and A becomes thya. Okay, that's how you get astya. Okay, the thya with A becomes A also, eva. Okay, so astyevam. Okay, and evam plus evam, where and A become me. So that's how you get astyevam evam from asti, evam, evam. We look at the meaning. Asti means is or exists, that is present. Okay. Asti, it exists, or evam. Then evam is, the same word repeated like that means like this, certainly in this manner. Because evam has the meaning certainly also. It has the meaning in this manner. So it can be an emphasis also. This alone also it can say. So I've given like this, certainly in this manner, or like something which is similar also meaning. So I've given, so just given extra meaning. Eva means certainly, and this. 2 are good meanings. Evam also means this. So this evam declares all what has been said. So it is like a conclusion, all the above. That's one meaning you can say. It also says, it is also refers to what is going to be said afterwards. Okay. So devotion is all this, certainly. Devotion is like this. So it refers to something which the next sutra is going to say. It's also declaration. This is the way devotion is. This alone is devotion. Okay, so that can, all sorts of meanings this sutra gives, depending on how one wants to take it. As long as that meaning elevates us and grants us greater devotion, it's fine. Okay, I will some excerpts of Swami. One may be a master of all scriptures and competent to teach the Vedanta. One may be a great ruler living in a many splendid mansion. One may be a valiant hero who has vanquished his enemies. Or one may be a pitiable victim of poverty and privation. If he has no devotion in him, his life is devoid of meaning. A servant who is filled with love of the Lord is more to be adored than the overlord of the world. This is a padyam of Swami, a poem. Bhakti is service to Hrishikesha, it has been said. Service to God has been described as bhakti. The heart of the devotee flows with love of the Lord through constant remembrance and recitation of his name. Out of this stream of love, devotion emerges. One who is nourished by the nectar of bhakti will have no desire for anything else. To be unaffected by joy or sorrow, gain or loss, praise or blame, to remain steadfast and unwavering in faith is the hallmark of true devotion. Affection, attachment, desire are natural qualities in man. When these qualities are directed towards God, and when one is continuously engaged in good deeds, these qualities acquire purity and sacredness. Then a man becomes not only great soul, but becomes divine. The devotee is ever conscious that the universe is a manifestation of the divine and is permeated by the divine. His life is based on the recognition of the immanence of God in everything. This state of mind is called prema advaitam, unity in love. Through this love, the devotee experiences his oneness with the divine. Enjoying the bliss of this experience, the devotee does not even desire moksha, liberation from birth and death. Unremitting love of the Lord is everything for him. Such devotion is known as Ananya Bhakti, total devotion to one and one only. Bhakti indicates that man needs, in addition to the four Purusharthas, the object of life, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. The fifth object, devotion to God. Adi Shankara characterized this devotion as the mark of jnana. There's no need to bemoan the fact that one has not been able to perform the prescribed rites or forms of worship. Parama Bhakti, supreme devotion to the divine, encompasses within itself all meritorious qualities. I took this excerpt because it sort of summarizes all the sutras which we have learned. So Narada goes on describing bhakti in many different ways. The supreme love, devotion, one is not affected by anything in this world. His son is content. All are things which we looked at the sutra. And then the Rishi is saying that. So Narada himself is exclaiming, Asti evam evam, this is the way devotion is. So this because sort of summarizes all that what we have studied. So I thought it's just to recollect, it'll be nice because that's a declaration by Sage Narada. We'll go to the next sutra. Yatha vraja gopikanam. Yatha vraja gopikanam. Yatha vraja gopikanam. The first word yatha as tha, which is aspirated because it's a second consonant in the third class of consonants. Okay, yatha. Vrajagopikanam, there are no aspirated consonants. If we just split the sandhi, there are no real sandhi changes in this sutra. But so I have just put yatha and vrajagopikanam, just separated vraja and gopikanam. Let's look at the meaning. Yatha means in which manner, or it can also mean exactly. Both the meanings are possible. Vraja Gopikana. Vraja is Vrindavan. Okay. Gopikana. The Gopikas who from Vraja, Vrindavan. Gopikanam is the sixth noun form, a sixth vibhakti, which means of, belonging to. So what this meanings, the meaning of the sutra is, all that is said by different rishis and descriptions, who embody these qualities like in which manner of the Gopikas who belong to Vraja, Vrinda. So, the example is given here. They embodied all these qualities which have been described about devotion. So that's what Narada says. So there is some excerpt, so I will go through that. Swami always himself goes into ecstasy when he talks about the Gopikas. So let's read. The Puranas consider moksha, liberation, as mergence in the divine. But the bliss that is experienced by constant contemplation of the divine through devotion cannot be got even by merging in the divine. Vedanta has proclaimed that the love of God is moksha. The heart of the devotee filled with love of God is tender and sweet. Sometime or other, everyone is bound to make his heart such a shrine of love for the Lord. With the Lord enshrined in him, the devotee renounces the desire for liberation. Devotion itself will make him one with the Lord. When a drop of water falls into the ocean, it achieves immortality and infinitude. If you hold a drop of water in your palm, it evaporates in a few moments. But when you join it with the ocean, it becomes boundless and one with the vast ocean. Only through love can union with the universal be realized. To a devotee who has achieved such a union with the eternal, everything appears as divine. The Gopikas of Vrindavan were such devotees. They experienced divine bliss through their intense devotion. Like a fish that cannot live out of water, the devotee who is immersed in the nectarine ocean of divine love cannot exist for a moment without the love of God. He cannot relish any other thing. Every part of his body is so much filled with the love of God that each organ finds expression in proclaiming the glory of God or rendering service to God. This was the kind of devotion the Gopikas had for Krishna. It was something beyond the intellect and the power of reason. Krishna explained to Uddhava the true nature of Gopi's bhakti. Because such bhakti is incapable of intellectual analysis, it is dismissed as blind faith. Intellectual inquiry cannot explore what is subtle and can be known only through experience. A Gopika once asked Radha how she felt when she saw Krishna, how her heart responded, what transformation occurred in her, and what joy she experienced. Radha replied, "The moment I hear the melodious flute of Krishna, my heart becomes still, and I forget myself when I learn that Krishna is coming. I am lost in the music of his flute, and I am aware of nothing else. How can I describe to you my feelings when I am intoxicated by the magic of his melody?" The God-intoxicated devotee cannot describe his blissful experience in words. One who attempts to express it has no real experience of it at all. Those who regard themselves as devotees should recognize the vast difference between the narrow-minded attitude and the ineffable character of true devotion. They should resolve to shed petty attachments and develop steadfast devotion to God as the main object of their life. For this purpose, the company of the good is essential. Good thoughts are promoted only through association with the good. This means avoiding contact with the evil-minded and the unrighteous. Association with bad persons makes even a good person bad. There are classic examples of the evil consequences of association with the bad. Kaikeyi in Ramayana and Dharmaraja in Mahabharata are examples of persons who suffered grievously because of their association with evil-minded persons. Manthara in the case of Kaikeyi and the Kauravas in the case of Dharmaraja. Everyone must strive to fill the heart with true devotion. Constant contemplation on the form of the Lord and frequent repetition of Lord's name are the means by which the heart is filled with the love of God. When there is this love, the devotee is filled with inexpressible ecstasy. It was out of such ecstasy that Kulasekara Alvar, the royal saint, exclaimed, "O Lord, people talk of moksha as the means of redeeming life and getting rid of birth and death. I do not ask for such redemption. I shall be content with loving you and serving you in countless lives. Allow me to love you and serve you. That is the only blessing I seek from you, and not moksha." The universe is permeated with love. It is the embodiment of Vishnu. There is nothing in the cosmos, no place in it where he is not present. To regard the universe as a manifestation of God and to experience it as such is real devotion. The sage Narada was the supreme exponent of this doctrine. He observed Tyago Bhavati, Tripto Bhavati, Atma Ramo Bhavati. The lover of God renounces everything, is supremely content. He is immersed in the bliss of self. Endow me with such love, O Lord. Man today is behaving with less gratitude than what birds, beasts, and even trees display. He is ungrateful to his parents, teachers, society, and even to God. He makes a parade of his adherence to truth, righteousness, peace, love, and ahimsa, but does not practice any of them. Why is this so? It is because of intense selfishness and preoccupation with one's own concerns and interests. Only when man sheds his selfishness can he turn his mind towards God. The love of God will dispel the ignorance and conceit of man as the sun dispels the morning mist. The heart is the seat of love, and that love must express itself to begin with in the home. From there, it must extend to one's village or town, to one's state, nation, and ultimately to the whole world. So I'll go. There's another excerpt I have, so let me read that as well. The true secret of enjoyment lies in sacrifice. Sacrifice has also been declared to be the only means of achieving immortality. Giving up what is taken in is a law of life. It applies to breathing, food, and other things. Likewise, the wealth which one acquires should also be given back to society. Wealth includes not only riches, but every form of acquisition, including knowledge, scholarship, and skills of various kinds. The knowledge you have acquired through education should be imparted to others. It is by such sharing that your education gets enriched and purposeful. If you do not impart the knowledge you possess, it becomes useless. This means that the more you give, the more you grow. Students, we are mostly interested in the process of development in life. But you should remember that simultaneously, there's a process of decay at work. Every day that passes brings the ultimate end of life nearer. Every, sorry, so, sorry. Everyone should seek to perform all his duties every day. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa devoted his entire life from sunrise to late in the night on the contemplation of the divine form of the Lord. Before going to bed, he would look here and there and feel that yet another day has gone by without his having the vision of the Lord. Thus, every moment of every day he experienced anguish of lacking the vision of the divine. The ancient sages experienced similar anguish in their penance for realization of the divine. Good actions and good thoughts are necessary to achieve the realization of the Atma. Our body is like a wall clock. It is when a large number of good acts are done by the body, represented by the movements of the second hand in the clock, that the mind, represented by the minute hand, moves once. It is when the mind engages itself in pure thoughts that Atma, the other hand, experiences bliss. So these are all the excerpts which I have. Like Ramakrishna Swami is another example of Parama Vyakulata, one who is deep anguish that he has not had the chance to see the Lord. So it's a nice example also in that sense of the first sutra which we read today, Parama Vyakulata iti. So I will stop here. If there are any questions, I will, if I have the answer, I will share with you, Saira. I just want to, I think there was a question last week, and I promised that I will share the names of Arjuna. Actually, I wanted to type it in Sanskrit and bring, but did not do. So I am just going to, if anyone is interested, I will give the Sanskrit word and meaning also. But I don't want to forget. The names or titles of Arjuna, Swami is listing actually. In many places, Swami lists them. So I'll just go through the names and the meaning. I will save the file so you can read it later. The names of Arjuna, Falguna. He is called Falguna because he is born in the star of Falguna or the month of Falguna also. Okay, so that's why he is called Falguna. He is born in the nakshatra of Falguna, Uttara Falguna, and in the month of Falguna. Because Falguna, why it is essential is in the month of Falguna, the moon, the full moon actually generally falls in the Falguna nakshatra. Uttara Falguna nakshatra in the Virgo Rasi or Kani Rasi. That's where it's present. And the moon becomes full moon in the month of Falguna when the sun is in the sign of Pisces. Okay, so that's in terms of white. So because of he is called Falguna. The next one name is, yes, Auntie Saku.
Falguna is, can you give me another name for that month?
Panguni is Tamil.
Okay.
Panguni.
Tamil enna?
Panguni.
Panguni. Okay, thank you.
In the month of Panguni or Falguna, the sun will be transiting in the sign of Pisces.
Okay.
So at that time, when the moon comes to Kanya Rasi or Virgo, he will be in the star of Uttara Falguna. Oh, in Tamil we'll say Uttara.
Uttara.
But actually the full name of the nakshatra is Uttara Falguna. So the sun gets exalted there. Moon becomes full moon in the month of Panguni in Kanya. So Arjuna was born at that time. That's why he's given the name Falguna. There are other reasons what it means, but I will not go into too much detail. Parthiva means Partha, one who belongs to the world. Parthiva also means a king, a warrior, all those meanings. So Arjuna was a representative of the entire humanity. So he was called Parthiva. Kiriti is called one who wears the crown. He's the crown of humanity itself, that he was blessed to listen to the Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna, and he was the dearest for Krishna. So Kiriti. Shvetavahana is one whose vehicle is pure, white. So it also means that he travels in everything which is pure. He himself is pure. Arjuna itself means blemishless, pure, white in color. So those meanings given. Shvetavahana. Bibhatsu is one who strikes fear among his enemies. One who strikes fear among others is Bibhatsu. So in the battle, the name of Arjuna, the presence of Arjuna is fearsome for anyone. Jaya Krishna is the dark one who is victorious. Jaya is victory, Krishna is one who is dark. So it also is color. So though he was a devotee of Krishna, he is also called Jaya Krishna. Because wherever he is present, if you go to the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, it says, where there's the Lord and where is Arjuna with carrying the bow, their victory is definite. So he was always victorious in everything because of Krishna who was with him. That way also we can take Jai Krishna. Or you can say he has won over even Krishna. Okay, he won Krishna. He made him his friend. So that way also we can take. The next name is Savyasachi. Savyasachi is one who is ambidextrous. He can do the same things with both his hands. So he is called Savyasachi. Okay. Then the last word is Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya means one who has won over wealth itself. So there are many stories Swami himself has spoken about. Whenever there was a need for money, Arjuna was the one who was sent, and he was able to get all the wealth in the world. He is the one who has won over the spiritual wealth of Bhagavad Gita itself. He has won over the wealth of grace. So there are many kinds of dhana which Arjuna has won. So he was called one who is victorious in acquiring all the wealth in the world, including spiritual wealth. So I'll stop here. So those are the names. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Samastaloka sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sairam everyone.